The tragedy and the Channel, what is Labour's solution to what's happening?
I mean, first of all, can I express my sympathy for the loss of life, known and unknown? You couldn't imagine something worse happening to people, and it illustrates to all of us why this problem has to be tackled. Now, Labour, I've been coming around these studios and to some of my colleagues for quite some time now, saying that the government needs to get a grip of this crisis in a way that so far they haven't. Now, first thing that we should be doing is we've been calling for a specialist unit to be set up within the National Crime Agency to work much more closely with our partners in France and Belgium across the Channel, but Europol right across the continent, to tackle at source these evil people smugglers who profiteer from human misery, and it is they who are bringing these people to Calais and then putting them on the boats. It's no accident that the dinghies we see are all exactly the same. That's because there's a number of people trafficking gangs, smuggling gangs, that are orchestrating all of this to make money for themselves, regardless of the cost or consequences in human life. So absolutely, that has to happen as a matter of urgency. But secondly, there's a pull factor going on here, which is the government is currently only processing 4% of all applications for asylum within a 12-month period. So 96% don't get processed. And when that many people are coming in and feel that they can just stay because the government isn't going to do anything, that gives the people smugglers a reason to say to people who might want to come here, well, look, we'll just get you there and the British government won't do anything, because indeed they have done absolutely nothing. They're processing so few people that, hotels in my constituency, and I know in many other areas as well, are full of refugees at huge cost to the public purse.
Yes, and the Prime Minister, 7 weeks into the job, has specifically set out to tackle those problems and has staked his premiership on it. And he acknowledges there are huge problems, not least because of the massive increase in the numbers of people trying to make that treacherous journey.
But to be fair, they've been saying this for years, haven't they? And they haven't actually done anything. So three years ago, in the House of Commons, Priti Patel, who was then the Home Secretary, stood up and said she would halve the number of small boats coming across the Channel. Since then, it's gone up by 20-fold. It hasn't halved; it's gone up massively because they didn't work with our European partners in the way that they said that they would. Instead of working with them, we had Boris Johnson, who was then the Prime Minister, astonishingly comparing the Europeans to Nazis. And then Liz Truss, unable to say when asked if the French president was a friend or a foe to this country. Now, if you break our relationships, our partners that we need to work with in that way, then of course you're not going to get the cooperation that we need. And the reset can only come with a new government. So for all the talk, we've heard it all before, I'm afraid, and the government hasn't done any of it. Labour would set up this unit in the National Crime Agency. We will work positively with our European partners. Keir Starmer's already been over there to talk to them and try and re-establish functioning relationships instead of what we've seen. And it cannot be tolerable, can it, that only 4% of applications are processed within 12 months. Completely unacceptable, that. And even of those who have been processed and have been identified as safe for removal to a third country, 16,000 refugee applications have been found eligible for removal to a third country. Do you know how many of those 16,000 the government's actually removed? 21. That is a government that's just refusing to do their job, I'm afraid. And Labour would make sure that the applications happened faster, the processing happened faster, but those who failed it would be removed, because all of that failure is an incentive to the people traffickers to bring more people over.